Welcome to my channel. My grandmother died 3 years ago. She left me her farmhouse. It had been empty for years before that. My grandmother had moved into a retirement home in the city. The house hadn't been lived in for years. There was dust everywhere, furniture covered in sheets, creaky floors, cobwebs, that kind of stuff. Strangely though, the old TV in the living room still worked. It was one of those old, bulky tube sets with the dials instead of buttons. No remote, no Wi-Fi, no cable. All you could do was tune in the local channels, which didn't have much to offer. Most of the time, all you'd see on the screen was static. That gray fuzz of noise and the white specks. I didn't know if I should fix it or throw it out. I ended up just leaving it there, the old TV. One night I couldn't sleep. It was around 2 a.m. I was lying on the couch in the farmhouse living room, staring at the old TV, waiting for sleep to come. And suddenly it made a strange pop sound and the screen flickered. Just for a second, I saw a shadow move across the static. It looked like someone walking in the fog, sat up and stared at the TV. It looked like an old man shuffling across the field outside. Then he turned and waved. I blinked. Maybe I was dreaming. I rubbed my eyes, stared back at the screen. Nothing. I figured it was a trick of the light. Some trick of the old TV set, with the electron beam hitting the screen at a weird angle or something. I tried to go back to sleep, but I couldn't. So I got up, went into the kitchen, and started making coffee. The next night it happened again. The TV made a popping sound and the screen flickered. The old man shuffled across the field and this time he paused. He turned toward the house. I sat there watching, frozen, unable to look away. Then he seemed to turn toward the TV, and I saw what I thought was a face. His head was bent at an unnatural angle, and all I could see was a pair of white eyes and what looked like a thin line where his mouth might have been. It was like he was breathing, but not breathing. I don't want to be too dramatic here, but I could have sworn the skin around those eyes was stretched tight like a drumhead over a wooden bowl. I stood up, knocking over the coffee, and reached out as if to touch the TV, as if that would let me reach through and grab him. Then the screen flickered, and he was gone. The next night I was ready. I knew what was going to happen. I set up my phone to record the TV. I didn't get much. At first, it was just the usual static, then the screen flickered again. The old man shuffled into view. But this time he was closer. It was like he was standing right in front of the TV. I watched in fascination as he pressed his head against the glass. Looking at me, or maybe it was the reflection in the TV looking at me. But I do and think so, because after a while he lifted his arm and pressed his finger against the inside of the glass. And I could have sworn I heard a knock on the other side. Tap. Very faint, like a whisper. Then the screen went dark. The TV was off. I checked the cord. It was plugged in. I tapped the screen. Nothing. I hit the power button. Nothing. I turned away to get a better look at the recording on my phone, and when I turned back, the TV was on again. The static was back, and in the corner of the screen, I saw the old man's face. His head was twisted at that same impossible angle. His eyes seemed to bulge out of his skull. "Leave the TV on," he whispered. The voice was flat, metallic. It sounded like he was speaking from inside a box. "Leave the TV on." And every night since then he's gotten closer. He watches me from the corner of the TV screen. Sometimes I see his finger pressing against the glass. Sometimes I hear him whispering. Every night he gets closer. And now he's no longer in the screen, he's in the house. Sometimes I feel his cold hand on my shoulder. Sometimes I hear him whispering behind me. He's watching from behind you. It started when I bought a secondhand vintage radio at a garage sale. The guy sold it cheap. Said it only played one channel, but it had a weird charm. Back home, I dusted it off and turned it on. Static. Then a voice, smooth and calm. "You're listening to station 103.6, the Nowhere frequency. We're always on, even when we shouldn't be." Creepy, but interesting. What followed wasn't music or news. It was descriptions. A man sits alone in his living room. He just turned the dial and is listening very carefully. Doesn't know the door behind him is slowly opening. My blood ran cold. I was alone, and yes, the door behind me was cracked open, just a little. I got up and checked. No one there. I turned the radio off. It turned itself back on. He doesn't understand yet. It only begins when he listens. And now he can't stop. I ripped the plug from the wall, but still, it kept playing. For days I tried to ignore it, but the station knew everything I was doing. It described when I opened the fridge, when I slept, even when I cried. One night it said, "Tonight at 3:16 a.m., the knocking will begin. Don't open the door. Not the front one, not the bedroom one, not even the closet." I stayed awake, shaking, watching the clock. 3:16. 3 knocks. On my bedroom door, I didn't move. Another knock. Now from the closet, I turned to look. The radio whispered. He opened his eyes too late. The static grew louder, and I saw a shadow crawl out from the speaker, mesh like smoke twisting into a shape. I ran. When I came back the next day, the radio was gone. But last night I got a voicemail. No number, just static. And the voice said, "You're listening to 103.6, the next morning after that." I went to work, leaving my phone at home. I tried to focus on my computer work, but all I could think about was that creepy radio and the ominous message from the nowhere frequency. Then my phone rang. I excused myself and stepped out into the hall. The caller ID showed a local number. I hesitated, then answered. "Hello," static. Then a voice, raspy and distorted. "Do you receive me?" I yanked the phone away from my ear. Was this thing still on? Hadn't it been unplugged? I looked around to see if anyone was playing a prank, but no one was there. Taking a deep breath, I tried to calm down. This had to be some kind of elaborate joke, right? Yeah, I responded cautiously. "Who is this?" The voice cackled, a chilling sound that sent shivers down my spine. "We meet again," it hissed. Or perhaps I should say we never met. You are nothing but a vessel of curiosity and fear. The nowhere frequency chose you for a reason. I felt a wave of panic wash over me. Look, if this is some kind of sick joke, it's really not funny. Just tell me who's there and why you're calling. The line went silent except for a faint crackling, and the voice began to whisper, its tone taking on a hypnotic quality. "You seek answers? I have them. Tune in tonight at midnight. The nowhere frequency will reveal all." With that, the call ended. I stared at the phone in my hand, my heart pounding against my ribs. What was this all about? Why was the nowhere frequency reaching out to me? And what did it mean for it to be a vessel? As the hours passed, my anxiety only grew. The voice's words echoed in my mind. The nowhere frequency will reveal all. What was it trying to show me? I couldn't shake off the feeling that something sinister was at play, that I had stumbled onto something I wasn't meant to find. The idea of waiting until midnight to find out more was agonizing. Each tick-tock of the clock seemed to amplify the mystery, and with it my unease. The night dragged on, and by the time midnight rolled around, I was a bundle of nerves. With trembling hands, I reached out to dial the number again. As the call connected, I found myself on the other side of the line, face to face with the enigmatic voice. It promised answers, but what kind of answers? My apprehension gave way to a morbid curiosity. I knew I was about to step into the unknown, but I couldn't turn back. This journey had taken a life of its own. Tonight, the nowhere frequency would reveal all. And whether I was ready or not, I was about to learn the truth.